Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Prime Time Local News.
Bet,
Lots on the agenda. We are live at Pecha Kucha. That's where our Connor Chan is. But before we get to any of that, I want to talk Rustlers is big in sports, as always.
Yeah, big weekend coming up for the women's volleyball team. They're hosting a conference-wide exhibition tournament, so we'll see some of the best teams in the conference over the course of the weekend.
Sounds good.
That on top of Bobcats, a pair of home games, and also a little bit of local football. So
yeah, it's football season, that's for sure. And in Ag, you're talking bison.
Yeah, the biggest male bull can weigh in what, 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
So bison is in focus in our ag report.
Perfect. All right, all that and more coming up soon. But first, we're going to go check in with Stacy for a look at our local headlines.
Thanks so much, Michaela. A new school year makes for busy school zones once again. Some school staff are reminding motorists to exercise safety in and around the zones. Brendan Collins reports.
Many motorists see it as obvious. You should slow down in a school zone. But staff at Winston Churchill School says not everyone sees that.
People have a tendency to speed. They don't see the students as they're trying to get out into the crosswalk. That's very dangerous.
Obeying school zone speeds isn't the only problem they've noticed.
We are in a residential area. It's not a through street. So people just have a tendency when they're dropping off their children to be parking right down to the crosswalks, limiting some of the sight lines.
The school recognizes that mornings and afternoons can be bad for congestion. They've added visitor parking and repainted accessible parking spaces. However, School Resource Officer Constable Grant Kersinger wants to remind people to watch out for crosswalks.
So that's where the little kids will be crossing the street, and if people are doing U-turns in there or accelerating toward 47th Street through those crosswalks, it just puts our students at a higher risk of danger.
School zone penalties are very real. Speeding tickets in school zones can cost double normal speed tickets, and illegal parking falls under bylaw fines and provincial statutes. Constable Kersinger says these are here to keep everyone safe.
We're doing our part, and we just want to encourage drivers and parents of students here at Winston to do your part, slow down and protect our children.
New school years bring lots of pedestrian and vehicle traffic, and School Resource Officer Constable Kersinger would like to remind everyone that safety in and around schools is everyone's business. For Primetime Local News, I'm Brendan Collins.
City Council has been discussing a new traffic bylaw for Lloydminster, including some possible changes for playground zones. Administration has proposed some changes could be made to existing zones. Seasonal zones was one change Council is considering, along with sports fields to ensure public safety.
In a case of a sports field, and I'll use 36th Street as an example by the hospital, we have some ball diamonds there. We're trying to determine where that falls into. Is it truly a playground, which it isn't, but in the same token, when kids are present, there's youth activities. So we want to ensure, at the end of the day, it's all about public safety.
The traffic bylaw is still being considered by Council and has not passed a first reading as of yet. In June, City Council changed the business license fees for retailers in the border city to $1,500. Council is now discussing options for how to spend those collected funds. At the GPC meeting, Council discussed options on how the collected licensing fees should be spent. Mayor Albers says it was proposed they should put the funds into a reserve account on an annual basis, similar to the tobacco reduction program. And that's it for our news. For now, let's check in with Connor, who's live at the Vic Juba Theatre.
Thanks very much, Stacey. I'm here at the Vic Juba Theatre getting ready for Pecha Kucha 3. We're still a few hours away. I'm joined with Jason Wedding right now, one of the coordinators for Pecha Kucha 3. So, Jason, just give us a sense for those at home. What is Pecha Kucha?
So, Pecha Kucha it's kind of, if you've heard of TED Talks, this is something very similar to that. These, we got a variety of local community members here coming out to tell stories, what they think of when they think of our theme this year, which is craft. And craft, we pick it because it can mean a variety of different things.
You did mention craft. It can mean, for most people, arts and crafts like myself. And we see origami here on the table, which is very well done. So what are some things that maybe craft could mean to other people?
It could be, bettering your own craft as a person. It could, in my mind, I think of things like a vessel, like an aircraft or a watercraft, a spacecraft, even that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can, craft beer, of course, can't forget that. So a lot of different ways that you can interpret craft, and that's why we pick this type of theme every year.
You mentioned how you think of air vessels for craft, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. What does craft mean to you, though?
Oh man, I do think of I do think of vessels as one example. Of course, arts and crafts. But what I like is hearing what I don't think of craft, because when I come out to these things, I get to hear what other people think, and that I may not have thought of when I think of that word, craft.
Well, thanks very much, Jason, for sharing those thoughts with us, as well as for being here as well today. So we're gonna be back later on in the show, but right now let's go look at weather with Michaela.
All right, thank you so much, Connor. Sitting at 5 degrees here in the border city, feels more like 3. We are not currently under a frost advisory, but as we look at this next map, pretty much everywhere to the north and east of us is feeling that effect, and that is going to continue into the night. And yes, snow is in our forecast. As we look at our numbers in North Battleford, currently cloudy and sitting at 9 degrees, going to a low of 0, and tomorrow a high of 3. And in Cold Lake, 7 degrees, partly cloudy. You do have a little bit of sunshine there. Overnight, that cloud cover is going to continue into tomorrow. -3 in Cold Lake tonight, so it is below the freezing mark. 6 degrees tomorrow for the high there. Currently, like I said, sitting at 5 degrees, feels more like 3 degrees here. Overnight, going to continue on the cloudiness. -1 for the low. We are currently not under the frost advisory, but that snow is coming. Tonight we have a 30% chance, and tomorrow we could see 2 to 4 centimeters. So 2 degrees tomorrow, -1 for the low, and that's going to continue into Saturday. That's going to be a wet snow mix. Snow should start about midnight tonight and end in the afternoon tomorrow. And then Saturday, 75% chance, 1 for the high there, -5 for your low. And Sunday, another wet one, 54% chance precipitation there. Wind coming out of the south, and 5 degrees for the high and -2 for our low. But next week we could see double digits, so it could all be melted very soon. I'll have those details for you coming up later in the show.
Time for agriculture news. Well, they are massive and sometimes unpredictable, but their owner says he's having the time of his life. In this week's agriculture report, let's meet the big bovine. It's the largest wild animal in North America, with a mature bull weighing in at some 2,000 pounds. Mixed ag producer Ken Farkash has 240 cows in his cow-calf to finish operation. He says the market has slipped a bit, but it's still stable.
Well, a fat bull is worth pretty close to $6 on the hook. So that's slaughtered and then on the hook, and that's how they grade it.
Farkash markets in Denver and as well in Lacombe. He made it through the drought of 2002 and the BSE crisis.
We've gotten to the place where we preg test the cows, and then anything that's open goes for slaughter. We also pull our bulls because we don't want late calves. We want, want peas in the pod. When they finish and we load them on a liner, we want them all the same weight.
Handling bison requires that you work with them. You don't want to chase after them.
You gotta take your time. You don't be in a hurry. If they're in a hurry, then you move along fast, but if they're going slow, you just gotta go at their pace.
The taste and health factors are the selling points.
It's a very healthy meat. Like you would compare it to, chicken even, because it's very low cholesterol. Everybody talks about cholesterol. That's an issue.
Farkash loves his bisons. He says he's living his dream. He uses corn silage in the winter.
It's like 2 months of winter pasture. And in this country, to have 2 months of winter pasture and not have to be feeding every day, it's really sweet.
The weather conditions may have stalled harvest, but he says the four-legged cow is the most efficient combine. While his canola and other crops are waiting to be harvested, his bisons are still going.
When you study the comparison between the grain and the bison side, I think the bison, we are realizing maybe twice a return per acre.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Center. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Center with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
Federal Agriculture Minister Lawrence McCauley says he may have to look at extending the designated drought area in Saskatchewan for livestock tax deferral program. The program allows producers to defer paying income tax on the sale of part of their herd until the following year. Some farm groups say the area is not large enough to cover all producers suffering from severe dry weather and poor pastures. McCauley says he's willing to hear from producers, but the program has specific rules and changes may be difficult to make. The designated drought area is south from a line through Saskatoon, but excludes parts of west central Saskatchewan and the eastern edge of the province. That's our agriculture news. Let's check our ag prices.
City Center Auto Body is proud to offer the paintless dent removal system. This works by going behind the panel, working out small dents. Lloydminster's trusted auto body shop for over 35 years.
Holy Rosary's football season has gotten off to another strong, undefeated start, including a victory over a Tier 2 powerhouse in St. Joe's out of Grand Prairie. The camaraderie of a veteran corps has helped them to take charge in leading another effort for a provincial title. 2017 saw the Raiders finish a score short in their third Tier 3 provincial try against Cochrane High School. Most of the core returns this season and are having no issues with talent or chemistry.
Last year, of course, we were all friends and stuff, but this year we're all best buddies. My O-line's clicking, my receivers are clicking on offense, all cylinders. We're averaging a ridiculous amount of points per game, and I'm just excited.
This group of returning grade 12 athletes is full of players embracing leadership roles. One of those is linebacker Evan Ide, who's helped replace some of what the squad lost in Chopper Hippie.
He tells kids where to go, he helps them out with what to do, he supports them, he picks them up when they're on the ground, tells them good job. He's just one of those kids. He's a real nice kid, but he works hard and physical when we need him to be physical.
I love it, honestly. I love leading the team with all the captains. Big shoes to fill.
Dante Tabacu returns for his second full season as the team's starting quarterback, and having gone through last fall, has already given him more perspective in the campaign's first few weeks.
You get to know coverages, you get to know what teams like to do, just getting more experience with the game and teams around you, and players, obviously.
He ran the ball really well last year, and he's continuing with that this year when called upon. I think where he's improved is just seeing the field and making quicker decisions, which you expect from a guy with another year of experience.
Now the team's challenge is properly preparing for each weekend rather than look ahead on the schedule for the much-anticipated rematch with their crosstown rivals.
St. Paul will be a physical football team. They run a Bantam program. They're well coached. So if we look past them, we're going to be in trouble on Friday.
That game gets underway at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. You can also catch some Lakeland Rustler action at 3 p.m. at the Lakeland College Gymnasium. Now to Connor with Michelle Meyers.
Thanks very much, Josh. I'm back here at the Vic Juba Community Theater as we're getting ready for Pecha Kucha 3. I'm joined with Michelle Meyers, one of the organizers for this event. And what I didn't know earlier is that this is actually put on by the Lloydminster Young Professionals, and this is one of your biggest events of the year, correct?
It is, yeah. It's something that we work on all year round, actually. It's just one big night, but yeah, we've been working on it since last time we had Pecha Kucha, so. Yeah.
You mentioned how there's going to be a mixer at the end of the show, and then where the audience can come down and interact with some of the presenters as well. So, how important is something like that to bring not only community involvement, but also networking, is what you guys are really big on?
Well, that's obviously big for Lloydminster Young Professionals in general, but I think it's big for this type of event. I mean, obviously, coming together and listening to these stories from the presenters means that you're getting to know your community better. So I just think part of people coming up on stage and being part of this mixer really means that they're continuing that community, that connection, and getting to know one another.
Absolutely. Now, I asked Jason this question, and I'm going to ask you this question. What does the theme, obviously the theme is craft, but what does craft mean to you?
Well, my craft is events. I've been in event coordinating for 10 years, and it's really my baby. So the mixer, I should say, is my baby. So being able to show off my craft at the craft event is awesome. And that's what craft means to me, is what you've perfected and what you've worked really hard on that way. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for taking time to chat with us. But we'll be right back with more from the Vic Juba Theatre. But right now, we're going to take a look at weather with Michaela.
And let's go back to the Vic Juba Theatre now and check in with Connor Chan.
Thanks very much, Stacey. I'm joined with Christine Kent, who is actually a presenter coach for Pecha Kucha, but you do it more so for the students when they do it, actually. So just give a sense of how you kind of coach them in the process that you go through with them.
So I've worked with both the adult presenters as well as the student presenters, and I guess I'm just there to kind of provide support and feedback in the moment of developing the presentation, and that's probably the hardest thing. That's when there's the most self-doubt and the most kind of fear of being up here in front of everybody and really putting yourself on display. So it's probably one of the toughest things is getting to the stage, I think, when it comes to the presenting.
You mentioned how for public speaking, for maybe there's kids that do it for the first time, or even adults that do it for the first time. How do you motivate someone that can try to overcome their fear and wanting to overcome that and just not try to fail?
Well, we definitely don't want anyone to try to fail, but yeah. Big things that I just really want to make sure all the presenters know, whether they're the youth presenters or the adult presenters, is that this is an event that people are here to celebrate you. Pecha Kucha kind of started out as, yes, a bit, about getting to know your community and things like that, but it's actually connecting with your community that I think is a little bit more important. And what we've really taken from the event as it's grown is that it's about the connections we build as community members and making sure that the presenters know that the audience is not here rooting for them to fail. The audience is here hoping for them to succeed and so excited to celebrate every little joy and every little moment that they share.
Absolutely. Now, we've asked our previous guest this question, and I'm going to ask you this on the spot here. What does craft mean to you?
For me, I guess it kind of connects to not so much an activity. I have lots of things that I do as hobbies or as interests, but for me, craft is about how you shape your life, how you work with people and connect with people and make meaningful relationships. That's kind of the most important thing for me.
Absolutely. Well, Christine, thank you so much for taking time out of the busy pre-show to come and speak with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here right now, but we'll send it back to the studio to Michaela with social media.
All right, well, for today's question of the day centered around this morning, I went to go get my morning coffee, and someone paid for it.
Look at
paid
you.
for it, yeah.
Paying it forward and
Paying
such.
it forward. So, that stemmed our question of the day. We want to know, have you ever had a random act I cannot talk today. A random act of kindness done towards you, or have you done one in return? And I just want to read a comment we got on Facebook. Sherry says, last winter, a man helped push her cart through the slushy and slippery Superstore parking lot and then offered to unload her groceries for her while she had a screaming, crying baby. So, there is some good in the world. I know, it's, we're always bombarded with, some sad news and everything, but, people do pay it forward.
Sure.
And,
people do that quite often.
Yeah, it's
and
nice
I think,
to see.
one of the benefits of social media is folks that are really in need have an avenue that they can go out.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I've just posted this. Someone who's got a job interview tomorrow at 10 o'clock. They're looking for a set of coveralls and a pair of steel-tip boots. I've just posted that on what's happening, and folks are responding. So
That's awesome.
this person may very well get their coveralls and their boots to go to their interview at 10 in the morning.
Great. It's always nice to see kind of the community come and surround people.
Yeah, and a lot of that I find happens. Like sometimes folks are looking for their pets and so on. You see animal just randomly shows up at someone's place.
Yeah, exactly.
And they post this little guy. He's here by me.
I think they should be careful with giving Michaela a free coffee in the future, though, because she's so hopped up on energy. after those free coffees.
This is not true. I only drink 5 cups a day. But we're going to get to my favorite segment of the day, which is our pets of the day. And we had so many that we've actually split it up into 2 hours. So here are our 3 for the 5 o'clock hour. This is Buddy. There's a little bit of a theme here in the photos I chose for this hour. So this is Buddy, and this was sent in by Vicky. And Buddy likes to sleep like that. One of my dogs likes to sleep like that. Really cute. And then this is Cinder. This was sent in by Linda. Yeah, there's the theme. I picked some dogs that were sleeping.
You sure these guys are sleeping?
They're real comfortable, yep. And then this is Tom, and this was also sent in by Cindy. And she says that Tom loves the beach, and he loves his blow-up pool, which is odd because typically cats don't like water, but not Tom. Tom's
he must be a very good
He's a water cat.
Steersman can really
Yeah,
stay
exactly. Thank you so much for sending in your pet photos. Of course, do keep them coming on social media. We'll be sure to have those up in our Pet of the Day segment. But right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more primetime local news.
All right, well, as you can see, people are getting ready as we're 4 minutes away from showtime here at the Vic Juba Theater as Pecha Kucha 3 is set to take the stage. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, as that is going to be a wrap from here at the Vic Juba Theater for Pecha Kucha 3. Brittany Matika will be back tomorrow, where she will be doing the Canada 150 mural workshop as Lloydminster is getting ready to get their 150 mural for the commemoration of Canada's 150th birthday, and that'll be very exciting. But we're going to set it right back to Michaela, and that's going to be it for us here at the Vic Juba Theater. And now it's time for your last look at weather.
All right, thank you, Connor. I wish I had better news for Brittany, who's going to be standing outside tomorrow. Yeah, I know. Chance that snow is going to start around midnight. It's going to be a wet rain-snow mix, so hopefully more rain than snow. But it shouldn't be sticking around. Saturday, 75% chance precipitation there, and then rain on Sunday, a high of 5. And then back into the double digits on Monday with a little bit of sunshine there. 12 degrees on Tuesday, but it is more cloud cover over there. And then Saturday, a high of 7, going to a low of 3. And then Thursday, 65% chance of a rain-snow mix. 6 for your high there, and -2 to finish off your 7-day look there. And I wish I was going to Pecha Kucha tonight. I think that would be a really cool event, and it takes a lot. It
always is, eh?
Yeah, and I just feel like you have to be pretty brave to get up there and talk like that. I know we get up here and talk like that, but I don't think I could get up on stage and talk about my craft because, well, I don't even know what my craft is.
Oh, you'll make it up. You call it your imaginary craft.
Oh, my imaginary craft.
It also just even the idea of talking in front of hundreds of people is different, even though technically there are many of you that watch us, that's different than having them all right there in the same building.
Yeah, so kudos to everyone who's down at Pecha Kucha tonight, delivering your craft really to the audience. Yeah, kudos to you because that is no easy task and it looks beautiful over there.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you right here tomorrow.
Take care.